I mean, anybody who is a follower of Fox News knows Jeanine Pirro well, knows that she is very outspoken. She does not mince words, and she says what she means. Let's bring in Bill Barr, former Attorney General, to discuss more about this. So Democrats are screaming, Mr. Attorney General, from the rooftops about what President Trump did yesterday, yet almost to drive the point home and reinforce what's going on in the city. Last night, a 33-year-old man, Ty Mark Wells, was killed on 12th Street in the Logan Circle neighborhood, which is taken to be a very safe neighborhood. And I remember going back 4 years, very similar thing happened in Logan Circle, which then prompted the then D.C. police chief, Robert Conte, to say this. Listen here.
The justice system that we have right now, it is not functioning the way that it should. You cannot coddle violent criminals. You cannot. And I'm saying to you, enough is enough. I'm mad as hell about this, and I hope y'all are too.
Enough is enough. I'm mad as hell about this. I hope you all are too. That was 4 years ago, and yet it continues.
Absolutely. And I think the president's right on the money. And I think Judge Pirro laid out the case very well. And I'm glad she's there because she has the right idea of what needs to be done in this town. As far as crime is concerned, the crime levels are much too high. If it was a state, it would have the highest murder rate in the country. It competes to be the crime capital of the country, not the capital of this great republic, among St. Louis and Memphis and Chicago in terms of the violence. That's not good enough. This place belongs to the American people. It's a symbol of our country, and we have to keep it safe. And that's why it was established, John. It was established after Congress was chased out of Philadelphia by a mob, and the local authorities wouldn't protect Congress, and they had to run, and that isn't.
Yeah, Mr. Attorney General, Sandra here in New York City. Thanks for coming on the program. We had the D.C. Police Union Chairman, Gregory Pemberton, on the program yesterday, and he says the police back this move. Listen.
Well, look, we completely agree with the president that crime in the District of Columbia is out of control and something needs to be done with it. The fact that we need help from federal law enforcement and maybe even the National Guard, it shouldn't come as a surprise, and we agree with that.
Because as we have heard, so many in law enforcement feel like their hands have been tied. There's not enough of them. We've seen a significant decline in the police force in Washington, D.C. So from what we're hearing, they back the president's move here.
Absolutely. The Metropolitan Police Department in D.C. is a fine police department, and it has had good leaders over there. They just have not been supported by the political leadership. And that's why they support this kind of thing. One of the reasons there are a lot of vacancies in the U.S. Attorney's Office is because they do try to prosecute the local crime under D.C. law. And a lot of them get nauseated at the judicial process, the inability to set bail, the soft judges who let these people right out. It is among the worst revolving doors in the country. We've gone much too far in the direction of home rule. At the end of the day, this is the people's city, the national people's city, and it has to be controlled by Congress.
You know, come back to the point that you made earlier about the crime rate in this city. Democrats, you know, from the minority leader on down, are screaming about how dare President Trump do something like this. This is Washington, D.C. It's got its own administration. It should be left to its own devices here. People say crime is on the decrease. It's down 26%, violent crime year over year. But the big question a lot of people have is, what is an acceptable rate of crime in a major metropolitan center like this? And then there's not only the idea of crime that takes place, but there's the perception of whether or not you feel safe in a city.
Right.
And I know that when I did my first stint here in 1999 through 2007, I never looked over my shoulder.
Right.
But now I look over my shoulder going across the street to the post office.
Right. Even if the numbers were right, the crime went down because COVID, it surged for 2 or 3 years around the country, and then it dropped. But it dropped to levels in D.C. that are unacceptably high. It is among the most violent cities in the United States. That can't be. This is the capital of the United States.
Mr. Attorney General, this was more from that White House press briefing that we just got with Caroline Leavitt on all of this and the administration's fight on crime in D.C. Listen.
I think it's despicable that Democrats cannot agree that we need more law and order in a city that has been ravaged by violence, crime, murders, property theft. This should be a winning issue for all Americans. I think the president would love to work with Democrats on this issue to bring law and order to America's cities, but unfortunately they have failed, and that's why he's taken this historic action to federalize the National Guard.
So if I ask you to put on your political hat to respond to that, why do you fathom Democrats think that it's a good winning political message for them to fight against an effort to make an American city, our nation's capital, safer?
Because they're completely out of touch. And this is very similar to them fighting like hell to enable men to compete against women in women's sports. It doesn't have much political support. And the communities that are hurt by this are the inner city communities. But I want to make another point, which is not just crime. You know, one of the problems is that when there's civil unrest, or where there's an emergency or a natural disaster, the federal government ends up having to negotiate with the local people about adequate protection and where's it going to be. And that's unacceptable. I was here on Martin Luther King's riots. I was here for the 1992 LA riots and most recently in the BLM. And in all those situations, the local authorities couldn't do the job. They wouldn't do the job. They wouldn't protect the Department of Justice, for example. And we had to negotiate. That can't be the situation. The federal government has to have, as James Madison, the author of the Constitution, said, complete authority in the federal zone.
All right, Mr. Attorney General, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Really appreciate your time,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.